British bankers could be facing a criminal investigation into possible interest rate fixing. The country's Serious Fraud Office is looking at evidence after Barclays Bank was fined $450 million for manipulating interest rates, prompting the bank's chairman to resign. The British Prime Minister David Cameron has announced an inquiry into banking practices.
After the cloud of scandal descended on the city with the interest rate rigging scandal, it's the government trying to lift it by toughening relevant laws and forcing higher standards on banks. These will be based on reforms to be proposed by a new parliamentary committee.
But this is the right approach because it will be able to start immediately, it will be accountable to this House, and it will get to the truth quickly so we can make sure this never happens again.
The Banking Reform Committee will consist of MPs and peers who will take evidence under oath and report by January. It'll investigate the broken culture and declining standards of banks, and it will decide if there needs to be new and greater punishments for criminal conduct. Labour wants a more independent inquiry along the lines of Lord Justice Leveson's into media standards.
We will continue to argue for a full and open inquiry, independent of bankers and independent of politicians.
The Serious Fraud Office says it will decide within 4 weeks whether to charge bankers who colluded to fix the interest rate between the London banks. It's hoped the parliamentary inquiry will report by the end of this year.
This is not just a failure of global regulation, a failure of the international system, but this is a very personal failure in the city. Now, we'll see whether anything like this has gone on elsewhere, but this looks like very bad news for politicians who wanted to reconstruct the city as a centre for economic growth, which is such a need for, but particularly for those institutions trying to rebuild a battered sense of public trust and with so much else going wrong.
The government also announced that the near $500 million fine to Barclays will go not to other banks but back to the taxpayer. That might help dampen some anger too. Certainly the mood in Britain is for proper, lasting reform.